I don't read, miss. I'm Black. That's where it all started.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Why Not podcast. Here, we discuss the moments in life. We ask ourselves, why not, before leaping over obstacles and ultimately pursuing something great. Today's special guest features Nia Tayler-Clark from Bowie, Maryland. Nia is an entrepreneur who is the owner of her own bookstore, Black Lit, in Dallas, Texas. The inspiration behind this successful business started after a student of hers said he doesn't read because he was Black. When she heard this, she instantly saw the solution. Nia has been recognized by Oprah for having one of the best book subscription boxes, ranking in at number 7. She's been recognized by Good Morning Texas, the Dallas News, along with several other household names. Nia is an educator and an amazing mother. What I admire most about Nia is her willingness and tenacity to transform the culture for young Black boys and girls all over the world.
My motto is why not, and I always stick by it, regardless of what people say, what is possible, what's not possible. I continue to think why not, and continue to strive to be the best I can be.
What's up, Nia? How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing? Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Before we start, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and being on the show with me. I really, really appreciate it.
No problem. This is one of the funnest parts of my job with Black Lit, so I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. So I usually always start the show off with asking people, what was the biggest why not moment in their life? But I'm going to start this one off a little different. Do you like to read out loud to where people can hear you? Or do you like reading to yourself?
I like reading out loud to only where I can hear me. So I would say reading to myself.
Okay, yeah, same thing. I definitely do the same. Like if I it may be different for me though. If I'm about to go to bed and I want to read something, I read to where I can hear myself too, like that whisper to where I can hear myself. But if I'm like on the bus or the train and I'm reading, I definitely want to read to myself.
Same.
Yeah. So so what was the biggest why not moment in your life?
The biggest why not moment for me in my life um, came when one of my students said to me, I don't read, miss, I'm Black. And in my head, I'm just waiting for like his classmates to disagree or for like him to say psych. And he didn't. And I had a why not, like, why you can't read because you're Black? What does that have to do with anything? And then when I realized he was actually serious, I challenged myself, like, why can't I be the one to change your mind? And so that's essentially how I started my business. And that was my why not moment.
Yeah, wow, that's dope. You know what's crazy? I feel like I like as a culture and Black people in general, we always make excuses for something because we're Black. You know, oh, I can't swim because I'm Black, or I can't read or because I'm Black. I don't want to do this because I'm Black. So, you taking a stand and shifting the culture is definitely awesome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Is that what motivated you to own your own bookstore as well?
Yes, I was really determined to try to figure out what I can do to help solve this problem. So I essentially learned that it was one, a lack of representation, like he didn't see any books with Black people that he felt like he could relate to, but then also a lack of access. Like, where would he get those books from if his parents didn't have an at home library, or we definitely weren't reading them in school, kind of thing. And so that situation with my students and my own personal encounter, my son was about a couple months old, maybe just hitting on a year, and I walked into a bookstore and seen like a children's book with a Black character, and I realized, oh shoot, like this is my first time seeing a children's book with a Black character, and that's probably why my student is like, I don't read, miss. And so those two situations together led to Black Lit. A couple months later, I started Black Lit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Was there any particular story or book you read that made you fall in love with reading in general?
To be honest, I when I was younger, I read out of more of like a necessity. I wasn't the
Yeah.
talker, I wasn't that outgoing. I was very to myself and very introspective, and so reading gave me uh like a hobby. It was just like fun. It was like, okay, let me do this instead of talking to people, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
It just kept me occupied. Um, then as I got older, it just became like a sense of like liberation and freedom.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
but I would say the book that stuck with me the most was the book that I watched transform the lives of my 10th grade students. And so that book was The Hate You Give. So when I decided to start Blacklit, one of my first projects was to get each one of my students a hard copy of a book because some of them never had a book that they could call their own. Like they never owned a physical book, let alone read to the end of one. And so I started like a little fundraiser to get them all a copy of The Hate You Give and to watch 10th grade boys and girls cry because they had a book that was theirs or because they had a book that they actually liked. That was transformational for me. It made a career that doesn't necessarily pay well, that's often underappreciated, that people tend to look over and made it seem valuable, bigger than me, worthwhile. And so that book will always have like a special place in my heart, just seeing it transform the lives of my students and then ultimately my life, because that's what gave me the push I needed to go ahead and push Blacklit forward.
Wow. That was transformational for me too. I feel like I'm about to cry after hearing that. Um I actually did a book report on The Hate You Give my I think my junior year of college. So I can definitely relate. But before I read the book, I saw the movie.
Okay.
And when it comes to Black stories, I'm more privy to um, Black stories through film and videos. So getting to talk to you and learn about Black literature and becoming more privy to it that way is awesome.
Cool. I thank you for the opportunity. Are you like a reader or
Uh, I am. I am. I do. I do love reading. Right now, one story I'm reading is called Nothing's Personal by James Baldwin.
okay?
And another informative book I'm reading is called The Body Keeps the Score.
Oh, wow.
It's a book that deals with a lot of trauma. So I'm reading both of them at the same time, different parts of the day.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
ask in case one of my students watch this. They would love
Yeah.
another Black man reading. Um,
Yeah.
they're like, I told you you should read. So thank you for
Yeah. Yeah. No problem. No problem. And student, if you're watching this, make sure you listen to your teacher.
thank.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, why do you feel it's important to emphasize Black literature, authors, and entrepreneurs?
Um, I think it's important because I don't think anybody's voice should be silenced, or I think everyone's voice is worth hearing per se. And so I felt like
Yeah.
schools taking Black literature out of schools um, is just saying the complete opposite. That you shouldn't hear these voices, you shouldn't listen to these voices, you shouldn't respect these voices. Um, and so I think that Black stories, Black entrepreneurs, Black businesses is very important to establish a society where empathy is prioritized, where differences are celebrated. Um, and it's important to close like the opportunity gap. Like, yes, we want to close the literacy gap, but what about the opportunity gap? Like, a lot of the information that entrepreneurs and business owners need, they're found in books, or even let's just say Black students or adults who don't want to be business owners. There's a lot of valuable information that is in books, and if we don't have access to those things, or if we don't feel like they're for us, then we'll never go find it. Unfortunately, there is a quote that says, "If you want to hide something from a Black person, hide it in a book," and that bothers me to my core. Um, And the sooner I feel like, get into the books, we'll get a lot more information and a lot more opportunity. And then with Black-owned businesses, like you said, why not? Like, why not buy Black? Why not circulate the dollar?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, stop letting people take advantage of us in a sense. Like, everybody else is making money off of our culture, and the fact that we don't is like a slap in the face.
Right, right. The first time I was actually introduced to a Black novel by a Black author was when I was in 6th grade. I read a book called Scorpion by Walter Dean Myers.
Okay.
And when I read that book, I was so locked in and really, really tuned into that book. And I was always asking questions, trying to learn, because that was my first time I had ever seen a hard copy, a story that represented my culture.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just so excited, just so happy to learn about that book. And I can't believe it took until 6th grade. By I was introduced to it by my teacher, Mr. Thomas. What's up, Mr. Thomas? And it was just dope. It was awesome. And I actually have the copy of the book today. I took it. I'm sorry, Mr. Thomas, if you see this. I ended up taking it.
I think he'll give you a pass on taking it.
Yeah.
They have my students one of those. I haven't read that one yet, but I need to add it to my list.
Yeah. You will definitely enjoy it. You will love it.
The Scorpion?
Scorpion. Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. When you see a kid walking by Blacklit, what do you want them to envision or see in themselves?
Beauty, and just knowing that is something worth celebrated. Like, yes, I want them to pick up and read a book, but they may be the one to write the book, and I just want them to feel like beautiful and powerful enough to take that next step, whatever it may be. But yeah.
Wow. How do you feel the power of literacy can impact generations?
I think the same way trauma is passed through generations, and the same way love is passed through generations, is the same way a love for literacy can be passed down through generations. So I just see it as it's one way to help build generational wealth. It's one way to help build confidence across generations. It's one way to just be proud to be Black. Like, I remember a time where I didn't want to wear my natural hair. I didn't like it bothered me to be the darkest one in the room, and books have the power to change things like that. They have the power to provide different perspectives and things like that. And so I think literacy is important because it teaches us to have a new love and appreciation for who we are and be unapologetic about it, no matter how it looks or how it reads or how people may interpret it.
Yeah, that's dope. That's awesome. And I feel like reading Black stories, especially, it sparks a level of creativity in my mind because, like I said, I'm more privy to watching movies about Black on Black culture, but when I'm reading it, I get to create my own movie in my own mind, and that's awesome because it actually helps me when I write poems of my own. It helps me create a detailed picture in my mind, but as I'm writing it on paper into words, I want other people who get a chance to read. When I do publish it, I want people to get a chance to have the same feeling I had when they created that picture in their mind, and so on and so forth. So I definitely feel like it impacts generations in that way as well.
You're right. When you finish your book, send it over so we can get it in a Blacklit box or in the.
Okay.
But you're
All right.
absolutely right. Like, some people never knew that they would be writers. If they just had someone that they can see writing, then that's a difference maker. Some people never thought they would be a reader, but seeing someone read that looks like them, it makes a difference.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. It makes a huge difference. I never thought I'd write ever in my life. I'm like, get out of here. I'll never write anything in my life. I hated reading, so why would I even like writing? So it's just crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, what are some struggles of being a business owner in your particular field?
Um, to sum it up, my struggle with being a business owner is the simple fact that I have no idea what I'm doing. Like I didn't go to business. I don't have like family. Like this is new for me and my family. Like Oprah couldn't even convince my mom that I should not be having like a safe career. Like even after
Wow.
like you need to stay being a teacher. Like don't you dare quit that safe job. Like it just wasn't enough to convince her because she wasn't into it. And so
hmm
for me, it's just I have to do like daily self talk or have people around me to remind me that um, God didn't place me here for no reason, or to not um, walk walk in this with a level of confidence. And like you said, me being obedient and just doing this despite how hard it is, it's bigger than me. It's like about the next generation. And so my biggest challenge lies in self-doubt that I've had to overcome, but also my business has had a lot of growth quickly, which very
Yeah.
good on paper, is fun to read about. It makes for a good news story, but in reality, um, it's painful for small businesses to go through something like that. Like we don't a lot of times we don't have the systems, the operations, the team to handle traffic like that. So just speaking for myself, I had to close my business for several months after being in Oprah because I couldn't meet the demand, or I had to turn down several contracts because it was just me and my 3-year-old in a one-bedroom apartment filling boxes. All
Wow.
and so even now with being at the point where I have like a warehouse and have a store, I still walk in every day like I have no idea. I don't know how I got here. I don't know what I'm doing. Um, but I don't know. I'm determined to write this story that keeps going versus just stopping. And so
Yeah.
I would say to sum it up.
hmm Wow, wow. And I want to correct you and say you definitely do know what you're doing.
Thank you.
Um when I did more research on you and I saw a lot of videos and just learning about you in general, I was like, this is crazy. This is nuts. And for you to say you don't know what you're doing is even more nuts though.
I can literally zero credit. Like I
Yeah.
have no I have no idea.
hmm
Like
How was because you did say you grew quickly. How was how did all that make you feel, like being having your name in so many different places? How did that feel?
um good. Yes. Like yes, it
Yeah.
felt good, but it's like when you go through like growing pains privately, it's a little more bearable, it's a little easier, but when you go through your growing pains like publicly, it's
Yeah.
like, oh no. Uh Jesus. But it made me feel really good. I just had to get over the whole social media era of everybody's watching and thinking that was a bad thing. And just to embrace the fact that I have customers and supporters willing to watch me fail and get back up in a sense. Like I will never
Yeah.
forget the time my son put his favorite action figure like in a black lit box. And I didn't know what state it was in, what country it was in, who was gonna call and report my business because they got a kid's toy that he probably chewed on in their box. Like it was just a state of panic for me. But
Oh man.
community like banded together and was like, I have it, I don't have it. Does he need a new one? It was like,
hmm
I'm safe here. I can grow here. I'm glad I started my business with a level of vulnerability and transparency that I can maintain. versus putting on like this fake everything's perfect thing. Um, and so it's fun. It's fun to watch. It's not always fun to go through it, to be honest, but I'm learning to embrace it. Um, I literally only like this was a passion project for me. And after we read The Hate You Give, I challenged my students to create a social justice project that they could use to change the world. And I used Blacklit as an example for them, never really meaning to have a business, just a what if. Um, and my students were literally the ones that took my what if and transformed it into a why not, I guess you would say. And so for me, it's like this has no choice but to be good. Like I'm just it gets a chance to like change their lives and change mine too.
Yeah, that's nice. That's dope. Did you ever find out where the toy went to though?
No, I do not know where Miles Morales went, the little Spider-Man. I have no idea. But he did get another one. But
Mm-hmm.
no, I have no idea.
That
No idea.
um I actually did a social justice project too my senior year of college, and it was another podcast. It was a different podcast, yeah, but I ended up switching over and hopping another podcast lane, but the social justice one definitely helped me get experience and move forward to transition into this. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's dope.
It definitely changes the way you look at life. I got that project from when I was getting my master's in education. They had us do one, and I actually read The Hate You Give for the first time in college too. So maybe our teachers were like talking or something. But yeah,
The curriculum going around the whole state,
now they just
state to
get
state.
it to the people that are stuck in their ways.
Yeah. If you had to write a story right now, what lessons in life are you currently being taught that you would share through a book?
Wow, I've never been asked that. That is an amazing question.
Thank you.
You put me on the spot. I don't. What lesson do I teach that currently is not being taught? I don't know if it's currently being taught. But I think the lesson that I would teach, um, are we talking to kids or to adults?
Anybody.
To anybody. I would say to anybody, my lesson was centered around the power of your voice. Like I can't imagine if I ever shut up about Blacklit, how many students would still never want to read, or
Mm-hmm.
how many books would still be at the bottom of the shelf until Black History Month, or just how many Black-owned businesses would still not have gotten the publicity that they deserved, or how many entrepreneurs who are just as imperfect as I am would never have gone for it because I didn't say anything. I guess so. I think my book would center around the power of your voice and um, just embracing who you are. I guess it would be around something around those lines. That is a hard question. Like I'm gonna go to my journal tonight and like because I've never been asked that. But I think it would center around the power of your voice. I think like a message I would want to say to my students, it would be that.
Wow, that's beautiful. Would you write that as a novel or a poem?
Probably a poem that makes it short and sweet. Yeah, novel has a lot of words in it. I can read it, but like saying that many, even like this podcast is probably more words than I speak in a day by choice. So I would keep it sweet in a poem.
Yeah, that's tough. That's nice. So I probably would too. Yeah. Do you like poems more or novels more?
Um, I like poems more. Poems give me more room to like create. I feel like and put this
Hmm.
together. Um, I like poems more. Novels are cool, but I feel like they always have like a beginning and an end. Poems make me feel like I don't know. It makes me like it. I feel like they never really end. Like because you have to put the pieces together, look in between. So I like.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Um, what is the correlation between Black music and Black literature in terms of, helping people heal, inspiring them, or teaching them?
Um, I think the stories that they tell. I think a lot of time people minimize music to just be like a beat or a dance.
Yeah.
From being a teacher and having my kids analyze like music and just watching the stories unfold and the different interpretations fill the room, I think stories that they tell in books, they can be put in songs, and the stories are just as beautiful, just as in depth, just as important. Um, if I could sing, I would probably write my own that way, but I'm not that good yet.
That's nice. That's nice. Um, what is your hope and vision for the future concerning Black authors and Black lit? What would you like to see more of?
I would like to see more Black authors in the everyday school curriculum. Like, I don't want students to have to go, like, take an elective course to get access to Black literature, or I don't want it to have to be February um, for them to read a Black book. Um, as far as Black lit goes, I definitely see myself transitioning out of the day to day CEO role and moving into the founder role. Um, I did not start a business to like lose my family or to not spend time with my son. So I just want to watch him grow up and watch my business grow up. So I'm going to transition into a founder role where I have more time to spend with my son. And then the plan for Black Lit is to start franchising the bookstore locations. And so I essentially want to, of course, get one back home in Long Island. Um, I I just want to plug them in the areas that need them the most. Um, I've been thinking about even exploring options in Africa. Like I spoke with a couple of investors there. So
Wow.
the goal is to get people reading, to close this literacy gap so that it's not a conversation anymore. Like people know Black people read. It's not a surprise. I don't have to put it on a shirt. Um,
Hmm.
it's common knowledge that we read, we write, and we have stories worth being listened.
Yeah, that's awesome. Before I get to my last question, I just want to say once again, thank you so much again for taking the time out your day. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me today, and I appreciate that. So thank you so
No
much.
problem. You're so welcome.
Yeah. What is one piece of advice you would give to somebody who is scared to share their vulnerability through their work?
Um, my advice would be to remember that it's always bigger than you. Um, like somebody's healing may be attached to what you have inside, somebody's freedom, um, somebody's change, and even yourself. Like, um, I've learned that fear, once you get over the hump of fear, like it propels you forward in a way that you can't do um, when you're stuck with what you're used to. And so it's a good thing to be uncomfortable. If you're too comfortable, you're probably too far away from your goals. Um,
Wow.
but yeah,
Yeah. Um, Thank you so much, Nia. I really appreciate it so much. Um, Thank you so much. Is there anything that you would like to leave the audience with?
um, tell your story. Like, tell your story. because why not? Why not you? Why not your story? Um, we want to hear it. Somebody needs to hear it.
Yeah. Could you also let them know where they can follow you at?
Yes, on Instagram at I am blacklit. Our website is also iamblacklit.com. And I have not got to all the other social media platforms yet. So just start with Instagram.
All right. Definitely. Thanks once again. I hope you have a great
You
day.
too. Thank you so much.
Uh,